Creamer Media's Mining Weekly is speaking to Philip Walter, the Executive Vice President of New Business Development and Innovation at Heraeus Precious Metals. Philip, can we talk today, please, about ruthenium, one of the platinum group metals, and its role in fuel cells?
We can talk about ruthenium. Ruthenium is also used in fuel cells, but less so on the electrochemical side rather than to prevent activity losses from carbon monoxide impurities, which usually can be in the feed when using petrochemical hydrogen. Ruthenium is part of a catalyst system together with platinum. And as I said, the ruthenium oxidizes the carbon monoxide and by doing so removes this carbon monoxide, which otherwise blocks the surface in reducing the activity of platinum-based electrocatalyst in a fuel cell.
Is there as much ruthenium used in a fuel cell as, say, platinum? And what role does it play? Is it on the anode or the cathode side?
It's usually used on the anode side, less so on the cathode side. And you're talking here about 0.03 to 0.07 grams of ruthenium per kilowatt.
And is there any alternative to this when you're talking about proton electron membrane fuel cells or PEM fuel cells? Is there any alternative that you could use to, instead of using ruthenium, you can perhaps go to something else?
Usually, actually, I think you would not replace ruthenium in this respect. You would simply look at the feed. It means you can, of course, also purify your hydrogen feed up front with other catalysts.
And what is the outlook for demand now, Philip, for this ruthenium, now that we're seeing hydrogen in the headlines?
We believe that the use of ruthenium in these fuel cells will come down as the trend to move to green hydrogen actually will bring more pure feeds with less carbon monoxide impurities, which basically means you don't need the ruthenium anymore to purify or to prevent the activity loss on the anode side.
And what is the outlook for supply?
We believe without any force majeures that the supply should be balanced. We don't foresee any mid to long-term supply issues.
And the price, we've seen some of these prices soar. If there's no midterm supply issues, this should not see the price of ruthenium rising.
The prices of ruthenium have increased lately and are following the overall trend of price hikes, but to a lesser extent. And this is mainly driven by speculation.
And the biggest current user?
The main application is hard disk drive, and hard disk drive producers are the biggest consumer of ruthenium at the current point in time. Ruthenium is always debated. If you look at rhodium and iridium, ruthenium is debated in some applications if it can be used to replace rhodium and iridium together with other formulation components, other metals.
I see. So it can potentially fulfill the role of some of these other platinum metals. Like sometimes we get palladium filling in for platinum and platinum filling in for palladium. This is also possible. There can be some sort of filling in from ruthenium.
At least there are thoughts and investigations ongoing. If you look at rhodium and iridium and the skyrocketing prices, if ruthenium together with other components actually can help in certain applications to minimize the use of rhodium and iridium. That's an ongoing development, I would say.
And does it look promising, or is there still a long way to go?
Personally, I believe there's still some way to go.
And then, so we don't need to talk about recycling yet, or is the circular economy now so pervasive in the world that it's also part of the climate change mitigation and we need to recycle everything in sight? Does that apply to ruthenium as well?
I think ruthenium is recycled and should be recycled. And when you talk about carbon footprint, usually the secondary materials are, from a carbon footprint perspective, much more attractive than primary materials.
What do you actually do with all these metals to prepare them for use?
We basically take these streams and isolate the ruthenium to make it available to the market.
Do you feel this pull for platinum group metals now? I mean, is it tangible that there is a spotlight on this?
The spotlight is increasing, I'm based in Germany, so when I look at Germany, I think there's more and more discussion on precious metals, especially around iridium and also platinum to a certain extent, looking at the hydrogen economy. And probably that also holds for Europe, because these pivotal components for making PEM fuel cells and especially electrolyzers successful.
Do you think that spotlight will intensify also on ruthenium?
There are applications on the horizon, also in the semiconductor area, where ruthenium, or the importance of ruthenium, might increase. But the question is, when will this happen, and what are the volumes really used in this industry? We will have to see.
That was Creamer Media's Mining Weekly, speaking to Philip Walter, the Executive Vice President of New Business Development and Innovation at Heraeus Precious Metals.